There you go. Hi everyone, welcome to this In Conversation With, which today is going to be with Glenda D. Roberts. Now, Glenda D. Roberts is an absolutely phenomenal professional, and our connection with Glenda is that her organisation, Exploring You Counselling, was the first recipient of the Wellbeing Excellence in the Workplace Award, which is part of the Ethical and Psychological Awards that APA are running this year. Now, Glenda, welcome to an In Conversation With, and let's get an intro from you. Let's share with everyone a bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh, great! Thank you. Thanks for that lovely introduction. So I'm Glenda Roberts, and I'm a mum of three young adults now. I have a very happy life. That wasn't the case when I was younger, by the way, but I've been through an enormous amount of difficult situations that prompted me into becoming a therapist. So I became a therapist in 2008, and I've always been involved and interested in the brain, and I'd worked with serious trauma and brain injury. Almost coming up to 30 years now. It seems very incredible, but that was kind of like my entrance into becoming a therapist. So I have always kind of had an interest in joining brain injury to counselling and psychotherapy, and that's what I did in 2008. And I set up a very small practice in Suffolk. I'm not from Suffolk. I'm from London. I'm a London person. But I moved out to the country to bring up my now young adult family of three children, young adults, and I set up this practice that began to make a big difference. And the practice I set up was called Exploring You Counselling. But I set this practice up to incorporate serious trauma and brain injury as well. So it was a bit of a practice with a difference, because my brain injury work, it's kind of almost stood side by side with the counselling and psychotherapy. So I ended up working quite successfully with quite a few big solicitors in this country. The ones that you probably know, I'm not going to say who they are, but well, you know, they're big solicitors that could allow myself and some of my team to work with their clients. So I'd always done that in the past for a brain injury organisation, but this time I decided to do this, you know, for myself, and it became very successful, to the point where we were also running in line with that a rehabilitation part of our organisation, which meant that I had at one point probably about 10 staff providing the serious trauma rehabilitation, so 24-hour packages, plus the counselling and psychotherapy. So two things separately, but running side by side. And then I decided that we needed to run a training organisation so that we could train our staff as well. So we provided acquired brain injury and psychotherapy and counselling training that we wrote ourselves, and I put together with some senior members of my team, which started to do really well. And strangely enough, we started to have senior solicitors and other senior professionals coming along for our training. And I thought to myself, huh?
That must have been quite profound to have the legal profession taking such a positive impact from the work that you were doing.
Well, it was because we were offering big packages um, to the solicitors, and we were working therapeutically with their clients. So myself and my team, we formed a multidisciplinary team, and we were working with neuropsychologists, neuropsychiatrists, speech and language therapists, occupational health, case managers, little old me, and we were, and in the middle of that, which is the most important part of the package, are the clients which we were supporting, and we were doing something completely different to most organisations. And my ethos has always been about putting the clients first. So you know, when I hear professionals saying to clients, oh, you know, the client will never be able to do this, this or this, I don't listen, sorry, but I don't listen to that. I always think that you're not God and anything's possible. And that's what we used to do. We used to make things possible for our clients and putting our clients at the centre of all of our work. So much so that, you know, we've worked with quite a few clients. And it was only in 2017 that I decided that I wanted to focus on developing a charity called Just Talk 2019. Well, back then it was called Just Talk Campaign, and we were helping thousands and thousands of clients. So even though you've introduced my company being Exploring You Counselling, I've always been a person to develop other ideas, because it's about what's needed out there. It's not necessarily about what I can do, it's about what's required. And if something is required, I seem to have a kind of niche to be able to provide that to people. And that's what we did.
And it was one of the things that came up when we were looking at the EMP Awards, was that you're not just accepting what is and what was, but what, as you say, what is needed and what can be done tomorrow, or what will be needed the day after, so we can start putting things in place. So when we get to the day after tomorrow, the stuff is already there that we need. And you know, it's something that, you know, certainly from myself, and I know the team here, it was something that we certainly applauded your work for.
Bonnie, I was going to say, you know, as a therapist, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this one, Glenda, me being the therapist, I lived this life of having a private practice for a long time and just enjoying that private practice. But you get to a point where you realise, by taking your skills out of just the client arena and bringing in other avenues, that actually as a therapist privately, it's a self-employed business as well. But actually it's learning to care and recognise that you can still have a business but still have the other side, which is your caring attribute, to make it client-centred. And I think that's what really drew me to Glenda, her flexibility at being able to recognise actually she could take those skills out of the room and actually create other avenues, like the film that I know I'm going to let you introduce and go into. But actually that was one of the reasons why we were drawn so much to recognise somebody that has that capacity to use those skills, because you can use that skill of connectivity outside the room at any given time, and it's having the confidence to be able to do that, to add other strings to your bow but enhance other people's awareness. So I'd like you at some point during this to talk about that film, Glenda, and share it as an opportunity for other people to be aware of what you're doing on that side of things as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think this is the thing about therapists. I don't think we are all per se therapists. We're therapists, yes, at heart, but you know, there's no definition to say that a therapist should only be a therapist. I think my life skills have, you know, kind of put me in all types of directions, and I've chosen the ones very much that I've found an interest in, and the avenues that have kind of just, or the doors of opportunity that I somehow have created, and I've walked through them. But it's not just been about me, Bonnie and Dave. It's been about taking people with me as well, the ones that are also interested and the ones that are also quite fearless like myself, to be able to think, actually, you know, we can do this, and we can do this together. So yes, I've been the spearhead for a lot of things to happen throughout my professional career, but I've never been one to say, do you know what, that's not possible. I've always been, just like in the client work, I've always thought, actually it is possible. And if I go back to, you know, that I just told you about the professionals sometimes that I've worked with that have always said, the client won't be able to do this, and I thought, you're not God. Let's try and change that. Let's try and make something possible for the client.
Yeah, what is possible in the impossible. And I think it's really worth pointing out just how much the importance of team comes down to the work that you do. And you've outlined it beautifully in the multidiscipline approach that you take with the work that you do. And it's not just a therapist working in isolation. It's not just a lawyer working in isolation, and all of those component parts that go along with what that client needs. And it's one of the key components of success, I believe, in the most successful companies in the world, is that sense of we are all working to support what's in the center of this, and that is always the client.
And it's teamwork, isn't it? When you think about the connectivity between the therapist and the client, that's a team. When you start expanding it and creating a team around you, that automatically enhances the process of what you need to do to get you where you need to go. And without that connectivity with a great team, and we met some of your team, Glenda,
you did,
and they are all amazing. They were so warm, considering they'd never met us before. It was lovely to be received with such warmth, kindness, consideration, and be able to sit down and chat with the team and mix with them and mingle with them, because they totally represent you. You know, they represent themselves, but they totally represent you too. And it was lovely to see that huge circle all working together and all coming from a very similar dynamic in their personality.
Really great. And I think that at the heart of that, a team is you know, an organisation that can really adapt and move with things together. And when you know that you have that support, that total support, and you look after your team. I mean, they look after me, I look after them, and we get one another. And I think that if anyone says to me, Glenda, can I have my help on this? I'm there. I'll help. I'll help if I can, and I usually can. I'm usually placed in people's lives to be able to offer that. So I'm really, really lucky to be able to do that. But the team, I remember you met quite a few of them, and I'm really proud. And I know it sounds very cliche, guys, and for the ones that are listening to this, but I am actually really proud to have such an organised, generous, stable, powerful, enthusiastic and caring team. I think it's important. And you know,
and flexible as well. And being able to respond to what comes through the door was totally evident when we came out to Suffolk to see you guys. And it's, you know,
it's an essential part of any growth. It's taking that ethos out of the therapy room,
isn't it? When you look at the work that you do, you demonstrate the way you work to a client. They then start to mimic that and build their own team and their own benefits, and they get the same kind of elements of those results.
Well, they always say, don't they, that, you know, for a successful organisation, you know, you can't hide what's going on. It feeds from the top down. I know we're all kind of like on the same level, and that's how I like it to be. But at the end of the day, I am the person that is running, you know, a brain injury, a psychotherapy centre, a counselling centre, a TV production centre, you know, a charity I used to run before. a respite organisation that took clients halfway across the world and back. I mean, you know, I came up with this idea, I think it was in 2004, to form the first respite travel organisation for a brain injury company, and I, you know, I stopped that in 2017 because I was getting very, very busy. I wanted to focus on other things. But you know, when you think that, you know, as a therapist and as a person, as a human being, and as a mum, as a partner, when you think that the sky's the limit, you don't see any blocks, because there are no blocks. The only blocks that are there are the blocks that we put in place. Yeah. So, you know, we can do anything, and you know, so just coming back to your kind of conversation there, Dave, you know, from my organisations and the ones that I've run, it's always about feeding from the top down right to the client. The client is at the centre of everything, and that's why our practice and our business has been successful, because they are at the heart of everything. Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to kind of moving the work that has been discussed and kind of sharing, you know, APA's kind of business support models and everything.
It ties in perfectly.
It so ties in beautifully, and with the projects that you're already working on, which we're going to touch on in just a second.
Yeah, we're on a level, aren't we? We're on a level that's kind of like meaty there.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it's something that I think when it happens in this sector, it's so rare that it stands out. And it stands out so far that a lot of people go, whoa, okay, that's scary. There's a lot of stuff going on over there. But I think the success that you've had, I think the feedback that we got from the team when we were going through the awards just says it all.
Yeah.
You've actually found an amazing, you know, I don't want to say formula, but an amazing mix that works for all the component parts that you're doing.
Well, so even David, and you're not female, so I'm going to identify.
She's noticed. Amazing.
Thank God. But even females, you know, I work with really good, confident, strong females. And I know that we could probably have another discussion about female dynamics and how they can play out, Glenda. But I also know that Glenda's a very strong, confident woman. And I think when strong, confident, capable women get together, the amount of power, the amount of power that they can create, it's an incredible thing to see. But it also reflects a real lack of need to compete. We can all work together, and me personally, it's one of the things that I absolutely love in my initial communication with Glenda, because I knew we'd get on, and I knew we'd get on because of that strength of character in Glenda. I know my own, she knows her own, but when you connect on that level, it is like
and as a guy on the outside of that, it is phenomenal.
They say behind every successful man is... That's brilliant. It's true. It's absolutely true. And she's built up a team of amazingly strong, confident individuals, and most of them, from what I know, are female. We didn't meet everybody's, but yes, I think it's really important to acknowledge.
So let's touch on kind of the one bit that really does stand out in all of this, and this is the production side. And do you want to kind of explain the backstory to the meeting and us heading down to Suffolk for the viewing? But don't give away what the viewing's for, because I think Glenda has got that pat down now, and it's absolutely brilliant.
And I would never tell her that. Yes. So myself and Glenda met through Twitter. And then we decided to have a conversation because we're both interconnecting, because you never know where that connection goes. That resulted in us having a fantastic conversation on the phone. And then a week later, I got this call at 20 to 8 at night saying, are you interested in coming down tomorrow? This was on a Wednesday night, so bizarrely timed beautifully, because it was the first Thursday, Glenda, but you don't know this. Thursdays are our meeting time. We literally keep that to everything else other than appointments. So getting a call at 20 to 8 saying, actually, can you come down and do you want to see what I've created? And it was the first Thursday in forever that we actually had nothing to do. We'd always find something, but it was the first
time. I can't believe that. I can't believe that.
I swear to God, I actually swear to God, it was totally coincidental, wasn't it?
It was really the first time where we put up the open contact Thursday, as we do every week. But people were kind of coming to us and saying, I don't know when I'm going to be free. Can we just bounce in? So nobody was wanting to book a slot to speak to us or arrange an appointment during open contact. So it was
completely free.
It was literally the first time we had a free Thursday, so it fitted perfectly.
Synchronization, in my opinion. I believe it's that world that we sometimes don't necessarily understand, and things fall into place.
So I jumped in the car. We tracked out to Sudbury. And
the welcome was beyond the pale, phenomenally
it was brilliant.
Oh wow!
Thoughtful and educational. So, Glenda, introduce what you helped create, what you did, so that you can share with everybody here the power of actually utilising those skills outside the therapy room and educating others.
Oh wow! Okay, so again, a lovely, heartfelt introduction to this next part, guys. So thanks again for that. So I had this idea with an actress that I had met through doing a podcast series of shows that I still do, and we kind of hit it off, and I said, look, how about we put a film together? You write it, I'll help with all of the research and stuff that we need to put together, and I'll fund it. And it needs to be, about mental health and about trolling. So trolling is something that happens to quite a few, thousands and millions of successful people, not necessarily all successful, but trolling can happen where somebody can become obsessed by you, and they keep, writing not very nice things about you on social media, and you kind of like get brought into that whole kind of arena. So this is the film that that we put together. So myself and Delaney Forbes, she was one of the original East End cast members, EastEnders, back in the 80s, and she wrote the film and she directed it with another person called KDX Films, and I thought to myself, well, it has to be something that is going to really touch people's hearts and souls, and it has to be something that's going to have also a good ending. I didn't want this film to have a bad ending, which actually we had to change the ending because I wasn't happy with the ending that it was going to be. It would be, a bit odd to have an ending that was going to happen, especially doing the work that we do, Bonnie and Dave. So we had this really brilliant idea to have this young person who'd shot into stardom through Instagram, and she was trolled very, very badly, and we put it on the screen basically, and it came to light almost, how long did it take us to make? It took us probably about 8 months to make this film, and it kind of ate a lot into my time as well, but my time had to be very, very organized, because it meant that I needed to give it kind of, 80% of my time, this film that took 9 months to make almost. And when it was made, it was brilliant. But again, me being me, I wanted to give some people some opportunities in the film to act, to put the music together, to do other parts in the film. But I didn't want the film looking like it was going to be done with a kind of like camera on your phone. So I don't know what you thought of the film, guys, but I was really happy with the end result of the film, and something, again, that I can say I felt very, very proud to have made. So I've made my first film. It's called Dying to Be Famous. It's about a young girl who shot into stardom through Instagram and became very, very famous. But she was trolled and bullied. And it shows events of her kind of having a meltdown. And actually, as you know, this can happen in people's lives. But I felt that we portrayed this young, almost celebrity really, really well. And it kind of like hit the nail right on the head. And when we released it in November of last year, it started to kind of like get, quite a few people interested in the film itself. So much so that now I kind of grabbed the attention of a lady who makes some brilliant, brilliant films called Donna Taylor. And she said, Glenda, this film is just brilliant, how did you make this? It must have cost you thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. And I said, actually, it didn't. It cost a bit, but it didn't cost thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. I made sure of that because I'm pretty good at budgeting and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, met Donna Taylor. Film's done well anyway. Met Donna Taylor, and we've decided now to set up a bigger production company. And the production company that we set up is Just Talk with DT Films. So this is just not going to be any production company. Again, Vonnie and Dave, it's going to have clients, not real clients, of course, but people's storylines, if you were, at heart, and we're going to be able to show people storylines through our films, but we're going to predominantly aim our films at the younger generation, because there's a method to my madness, and the method is that the only way I feel that we're going to be able to empower the youth is not by teaching them or not by telling them what to do, is by empowering them through our films. So we're going to make some really fantastic films together, but we're not going to produce the endings. We're going to allow the young people to choose the endings themselves, and that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be films.
Choose your own adventure movie set.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I think it's brilliant. We watched the screening when we came out to Suffolk on that Thursday, and I think we both kind of sort of sat back and realised what the potential was of showing the storylines that you've just described.
And I personally think that film ought to be in every single uni, every single school across the entire country, because we know the technical term. It's people working with an inner locus of evaluation rather than an outer locus of evaluation, and that's what I saw the lesson. And those terminologies, as you know, Glenda, there's one thing when we're receiving a lot of abuse from the outside and it ends up really affecting us, but when we learn psychologically to separate that stuff from ourselves, it increases resilience, and it can lead to a complete change in lifestyle as to how we work and how we behave. And I thought it was a phenomenal example of a shift in somebody working from the out in to the in out. And I thought it was a great way of really showing that. And it's such an important message, especially for the youth of today, because they've got the rest of their lives to lead. So with that kind of understanding and that kind of education, it can save lives. And that's where I saw the power of it, saving lives.
I think you're right, Bonnie, because the film, the whole reason for making this film and then to go on to making other films is we want our films to be used as tools, as vehicles, tools to empower people to perhaps think, actually, you know, I know somebody that's been through something similar, or you know, or I've experienced something similar, like in that film, you know, for themselves. But the core of all of our films, Bonnie and Dave, is to enable people or allow people to see and know in their darker times that there is help out there. There is always going to be a message in our films, and there is always help out there, because the fact is that, you know as well as I know, that when people are caught in some really dark, horrendous places of depression or manic depression, they're really trying to get the light, and they're really trying to feel normal again, or whatever that means. But they're not trying to sink low. They want to get out of that dark place. And I think that our films have to deliver that spark and that message. And at the end of every film that we do, there is always going to be an opportunity for people to really engage in what we're trying to produce. Not just a film for a film, but the messages are going to be so powerful that people are just going to feel, wow, and it's going to stay in people's minds. And so I do feel passionate that this is the next chapter for me in my life now, not just not just a therapist, but an enabler, as it were. A therapist
and a positive enabler.
And to share that, the message that we have in the therapy room with clients, that's our ultimate aim, to help them be their own therapist and work from the in out rather than the out in. To extend that and take that to the wider population. It's one of the reasons I kind of fell in love with Glenda, because her ability to share that expertise and help reach other people on an emotional level. I wasn't taught that stuff when I was young. If I'd have seen a film like that at the age of 14, 15, it might have changed how I live the next few years of my life.
And I know it's that getting it in at the right place at the right time, and I think that's something that I'm certainly hoping with APA's engagement and promotion, and I hope all of the APA members and group members will check out the film, make sure that they're actually able to get that into places and connections that they have, and spread that word, because the more people that we can have understanding that no amount of water in the ocean sinks a ship unless the ship has got the water coming into it. And that's the thing, we need to keep the water out of people and leave it on the outside.
And too many youngsters are not educated in relation to understanding the dynamics of their own psychology. And I think this is where myself and Glenda, as therapists, and I know it applies to you as a coach, when you come from a history of trauma and you didn't know any better, how that trauma can play out if you are not educated in a way to understand it's not your fault. And by showing a different way and opening up somebody's mind to realise that, one, there is help out there. Secondly, we can work in a different way that increases our resilience. And for me, most importantly, it actually saves lives. It actually saves lives.
But this is the thing, Bonnie and Dave, it just feels like, I'm supposed to be doing this with my team, because, I've got, haven't we, Bonnie, and you as well, Dave, this insight because, of our own personal experience, and because, as being a therapist, we've had so much insight of others' experiences as well. So to be able to put some of this stuff out there to help multitudes of people to understand that actually they're not alone. There's hundreds of millions of people that have been through something similar. Okay, not the same, but something similar. So if we can hook, you know, billions of people onto a hook, literally, to think, actually, they've got something here. I felt this, and there's a shift in that person's, you know, mind, or that person's, you know, then we're there. And I think the best way to do this now, this platform, this medium, is through film. And that's what I'm going to do to help multitudes and multitudes of people. And guys, thank you. If you can help me, you know, that would be brilliant. But one of the ways that we can watch the film, Dave and Bonnie, is through another website. So another company that I run is Just Talk 2019. And you can go onto a website, which is www.justtalk2019.com, and then you can download the film. So yeah,
and we will tag that in. I'm actually going to do something that Glenda's not a little bit prepared for, and neither are you here. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to volunteer any acting services somewhere down the line. And if Glenda ever wants to pick me up on that and say, I want you to be a nasty somebody on something, I will happily oblige and be involved. And I'll do that completely voluntarily, because the opportunity to do that would be absolutely great fun.
You just want to play a nasty, don't you?
You know what? I've always wanted to play a nasty, because I'm not nasty. And we can actually play that kind of fun character where you know you're not actually hurting anybody else or actually doing something bad. It must be great fun to be Cruella de Vil. And then be able to step back into your own persona and know you would never do anything that she would do. So I'm putting it out there.
No puppies were harmed in the making of this conversation.
No, that's fine. Why not? Why not? Why not, Bonnie?
I do think that what Glenda's tapped into is such a phenomenal way to educate people. And I'll never forget that moment where my mind's eye was open to the unconscious, to actually understanding that there was another world inside my head that I didn't even realise was even there. And I think it's such a powerful thing to help youngsters realise that there are parts of their mind that they actually didn't even know how to label them depending on their education. For me, it's a phenomenal opener, and it does. It's a life changer. So I commend you on everything you're doing, because to take those skills out of the therapy room is exactly what we've kind of done with APA. And it's exactly why we've ended up here, connecting with each other in the greatest way possible.
Isn't it? Isn't it exciting? It's an exciting road ahead, isn't it?
Yeah. And the thing is, we're at a point in time, professionally, socially, culturally, humanely, funnily enough, probably the first time, where the old ways of working, and when I say the old ways, I mean,
4 weeks ago,
we're now starting to realise that actually they haven't got us the solutions that we were hoping they would get us. And if we want the solutions, we actually need to do something different to what we were doing 4 weeks ago.
And that's connecting.
And connection is the key. And I think the tool of using different means of engagement, different means of approach, different concepts of approach are going to be what moves us forward and allows us to actually say, do you know what? Let's have a blank piece of paper. What do we know works? Let's fill in the gaps from that list and make sure that everything that we do moving forward is something that's going to get us to that end goal of success.
And I think you're right as well. Yeah, I think you're right, both of you, because, you know, for instance, let's just take this medium of communication via Zoom. This is something that I was prepared for anyway. And probably, I don't know, maybe 75% of therapists haven't or weren't really. So people started to panic. How am I going to work? How am I going to, continue my, my business? The key to me, I want to say to me, I don't know for other people, is that I've always thought out of the box, and I've always had other things going on and running kind of like when I first started to have this conversation with you, parallel to everything else. And I think for me, my success has been about connecting with people, opening up, you know, like I said before, doors of opportunity, not looking. They just seem to open because they're there, because I'm constantly moving and not staying still. And I think that this is a message for a lot of therapists that watch this today. I think it's about moving forward, and it's about, okay, so the past has happened 3 or 4 weeks ago, you know, life was different. Let's embrace the future. Let's move forward now, and let's see what we can create with other people.
And the biggest part of that is being, as you say, opening that door, and that takes the confidence to knock on the door and just see where anything goes. I've learned that the art of moving forward is with no intention of moving forward, just wanting to know somebody. And based on wanting to know somebody, which is how we connected off of Twitter originally, you know, wanting to know you, taking that off the screen and onto a phone call, from off the phone call to being invited to actually watch your production unfold in front of us, from that to giving you an award because of your team, from that to where we are sitting right now, and also hopefully at some point when all this has changed again, actually coming down to your training school and actually showing you the model that I've created, which really helps people's self-awareness. So it's almost like when you have the confidence just to knock and allow yourself to have the courage to deal with whatever's going to happen on the back of that knock. Life can go anywhere, and there's endless possibilities, and it's about having the confidence to appreciate that and take the opportunity.
You know what, Bonnie? You're so right. I almost forgot to say to the people that are going to be listening to this as well, I think we're working with about 14 universities and colleges, from London to Cambridgeshire to Suffolk to Wessex, to Bucks, to where other, I think Southend as well. And we're offering placements for trainee counsellors, which I started to offer placements for trainee counsellors back in 2013, and it's kind of like just built gradually to the point now where we have about 20 trainee counsellors. And what we do is we provide a really unique professional support, what you were talking about before in terms of meeting my team. Those are the team that help me to run the trainee placements for our trainee counsellors, and we are very, very unique because it's not just in and out. We provide a really, and I want to say I'm really proud to say that what we provide is support for the next generation of therapists to be able to deliver a professional, and I want to say professional because when you come to my practice or our practice, you'll see that that, you know, I'm OCD, obsessional compulsive disorder, so everything is organized and everything has its place, and there's a brilliant handbook that we have, and I've seen some of your stuff online and I'm thinking I don't even match to yours because yours is probably a little bit more intense than mine, but anyway, our handbook is good enough. But you know, our handbook, you know, supports the trainee counsellors that come through our door, and I'm really proud because we have a lot of trainee counsellors that travel from London, travel from Thetford, travel from Southend, travel from Basildon. They travel all over the place to have their placements with us, and so we've built up a really good foundation with some of the universities and colleges by providing, you know, good sound student placement.
And that's what really kind of struck us with. Give me a second. That's what really really struck us with when we were going through the EMP Awards, because it's that framework of support that's in place for those students that are coming into your workplace that stands out. It's not just your team that have a really good working environment, but it's the people that you work with, the people that you serve, those students, those future professionals. There is a level of confidence that what they are kind of gaining from the work that you do, and the, you know, just as importantly, the way you work, that they carry that into the sector as professionals. You don't lose that. You don't say, you know, well, this is the way I learned, but you know what, goodbye, and move on. You carry that with you right the way through careers. And
professionalism is in the therapy world. It's a strange world, isn't it, Glenda? You know, the word professional, it's almost like therapists forget that that's what they are, and they see themselves with that label as therapists, but actually they're asking to be treated as professional individuals. And if you're going to be, if you're going to work as a professional, you represent yourself as a professional. And on the back of talking to you about your training, bizarrely, I ended up speaking to somebody else who's a really lovely woman, and I did say to her she must check you out, because she also runs a training environment for students, and we decided that APA being so young, we could grow and develop with what was coming through, and we thought, right, we'll create a page of recommended training placements where we categorically know the person that runs that is exactly what a really brilliant therapist ought to be, and the example will follow. So we're actually going to add a new page to our website. We're going to put your training environment on there. We're going to put the other ladies on there as well.
And what we've asked is for those that are in the sector to recommend training establishments. And we will then reach out to those establishments. We will go through the process that we've designed in the last sort of 8-9 weeks around this, and you know, there will be kind of a criteria, but it won't be it won't be paid. No training provider will have a contract with APA. To be on that listing. No,
it has to be genuine, and that means no money involved.
And it's about professionals going, I want the best coming into the business behind me, and for that to happen, they need to be aware of these places. And that way, I think we get away from the conflict of interest around accreditation of programs. We get away from the forced membership, because that's one of the things that, you know, we've kind of strongly kind of say, you know, a professional should be able to affiliate with the body that they feel closest to, rather than being forced by a training provider, etc. So, you know, on the back of just one Twitter connection,
look.
Not only has so much kind of come.
February 2020. I mean, look, what are we now? We're in April. It's not that long ago. You think about it.
So
that's the strength of a strong, confident woman communicating with a strong, confident woman.
And an architect that can take what they say and make something happen.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I won't exclude David. Without David, APA wouldn't exist without David. So I do acknowledge you 100% in the process of this. I'm very conscious that we don't want to chew off people's ears forever. I think, Glenda, you've represented yourself absolutely beautifully. Nothing less than what I would know about you. And truth be told, we will pop down as soon as the environment changes again, and we can physically actually be allowed to come and see you.
My pleasure.
It'd be great to pop up to Sudbury. It's a beautiful place out there.
And you know, I suppose the kind of the only thing to really kind of
just one more thing, we will make sure that Glenda's links to Just Talk Productions
will go in with the notification when the video goes out. That will go there. But you know, one of the things that strikes me when I hear all of the connection, the connectivity, the processes, everything that's going on, it all comes back to everything that was written in the Psychological Hive. Every component part sits together, and it all supports the next component part.
Yeah.
And when we spend time on one component part, it automatically grows the others. And it supports, and the whole thing grows as a result. It's not just let's focus on the production company. We focus on the production company, all of the other parts grow as well. And it's phenomenal to see. And it's amazing that we've been able, even in the current climate, to be able to touch base, have this conversation. I hope everyone that's been able to watch has enjoyed. Please go check out the links that will be attached with the video. Glenda, thank you so much. And from both of us, congratulations.
And a virtual hug. Please stay safe, stay well.
Stay happy.
Yeah, and we will see you soon enough, God willing, when all this is over.
And for now, everyone else, thank you very much. And it's goodbye from him.
And goodbye from him, and goodbye from the lovely Glenda.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Glenda. Take care, look after yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye.